Well, good morning. This is Sunday, February 5th, 2017. Welcome to the Liberty and Freedom Show. My name is Lee. I'm your host. In the gallery today, we have Ty, our resident gunsmith. How you doing today, Ty?
Doing excellent.
All right. Great. Glad to hear it. Tom will not be joining us today. He's under the weather. Let's go ahead and get started. Ty, there has been a ton of stuff happening this past week. Let's start with the crazy people, in my opinion. We got Chucky Schumer crying on TV, acting, well, maybe he's taking lessons from his niece, Amy Schumer, and getting that acting going and everything. And, he's crying about the so-called ban on immigrants into the country, which is a complete and utter lie. As I investigated, this was not a ban. All this was a 90-day moratorium from 7 different countries: Syria, Sudan, which is a failed state, Somalia, which is a failed state, Iraq, Iran. Did I say Syria? And there were 2 others, and I forget who they were. These are all countries, though, that are major radical Islamic states or failed states, and it was merely a 90-day moratorium so we could figure out how to vet these people. That's all it was.
Right. There's so many coming in. How are we going to, set them all aside and check this out? You need time in order to screen people and get through this. You can't just let everybody through willy-nilly like they want. That's suicide. That's ridiculous.
Exactly. And it goes to show the level that these liberal dipwings will lie. Trump has not put a ban. Now, I will tell you right now, I am all for a ban. We need to stop all immigration. People say, oh, America, and we'll talk about the Budweiser commercial you brought to my attention. Everybody talks about, oh, well, this country was built on immigrants. Yes, built as in past tense. We have been built. We are already built. We have upwards of what? They estimate between 11 and 15 million illegals already in the country. Now, I'm not saying these aren't good people. I'm not saying that they're not here to have a better life. And you know what? You broke the law. You broke the law. And something else I want to point out is that here's the Constitution. Obviously not the original Constitution, but here's my handbook Constitution. I read through it again. There's nowhere in the Constitution that it says that it's your right as a foreigner to come to America. And that's what these liberals are promoting, is that it's your right to come here illegally against breaking the law.
Well, that's just what it boils down to, right? I mean, how many times do we hear different things about people that we've caught? I don't know if we're talking about Guantanamo or not, but you have people that wish us harm that are not citizens, and yet people screaming that they have rights, that they have these rights that we fought for here in America for certain justice, and have them. It's different with that kind of criminal. Back on the Chucky crying thing, though, when I've seen this sort of thing, it just makes me start thinking a little bit about it. It's always down to emotion. They don't have the facts. They don't have facts to stand on. So it always boils down to emotion. They're just going to cry about it. That's kind of sad.
And literally cry about it. Go on TV and literally cry about it. So here's my question for the bride of Chucky. How many of these immigrants are you housing? How many of them are you paying to put up and to take care of here when they come to America? They don't have jobs. They don't probably speak any English or very broken English, so they can't communicate. They have no way to support themselves in a Western society. So how much are you doing, Chucky, to help these people? Nothing. You want the taxpayers. You want the hardworking Americans who can't get the insider deals because they're in the Senate and make millions of dollars like you've done and all your cohorts have done to pay for it. It's just ridiculous. Moving on to crazy people. I don't know if you had a chance to look at, apparently Whoopi Goldberg compared Trump to the Taliban, which is absolutely over the effing top. It's just insanity. I don't see Trump beating women, making them wear burqas, wanting to cut off their genitals. It's nuts.
Yes, on this topic, all I could think of was idiotic. You are an idiot. You don't deserve this pedestal. You're this high horse. You know, I don't even know if it's a high horse. She must be high, honestly, because she's sitting there saying stuff like this. Right? What would happen if I actually went on? If I even, not that I have her platform to speak or whatever, even ever will, but just her going on about this and talking about it is just insanity. If I got on something saying, "Oh, well, Obama really was the Antichrist, or really is the Antichrist," or start comparing someone to Adolf Hitler, what do I look like? I look like a fool. So she looks like a fool saying something like this. This is an absolute fool. And by the way, she said she would leave if he got. Why isn't she gone yet? Get up and go. She needs to leave.
Exactly. She did say she would leave the country if he became president. So yes, why hasn't she left? Why isn't she gone and spewing her filth in another country? You are exactly correct. Which
Right.
leads us
It
to
was
the
just.
next. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, it was just a way to strong arm something. I don't think she knows what she's talking about. Again, it's kind of back on my other comment about emotion. You can say whatever you can to strong arm something to gain emotion, to gain a rise out of it, when it's based nowhere in any kind of reality. And yet, for some odd reason, because she's always with her kind of individuals, they all kind of jump on it like, "Oh yeah, yeah, she's right. That sounds smart," and it's just idiocy. It's just stupid.
Let's talk about the next idiot, Sarah Silverman. She's calling for the military to overthrow Trump, which is absolutely the dumbest comment. Probably, I don't know if it's as stupid as Whoopi's, but it ranks right up there. Maybe they're equal. Here's what she doesn't understand: 70 to 80% of the military voted for Trump. Who does she think is going to overthrow Trump? The dumbass private that, I mean, you were in the military, Ty. I get honoring our veterans. I get that, it's a sacrifice to serve. You don't make a lot of money. Let me ask you a question. You were in the service. You were over in Iraq in the early 2000s. Did you ever encounter that dumb private, that idiot person who just didn't have a brain in their head?
Not someone that would say something that stupid. That's for sure. I mean, there are some that didn't really follow politics, but I mean, you stick to a code. I had issue of ever serving when you're in the Marine Corps and you got Clinton as your commander in chief. Things are a little scary sometimes when I was first in. So, but there's never talk of of dishonoring him. You never talk to someone that was ever like on Marine Corps One or anything like that, or on some sort of guard. Find a way to disrespect them, much less a call to overthrow. And these are people defunding and getting people killed. You pull out. I know it happened in Afghanistan in like 2008. Someone had pulled out all of what we had troops, in a highly volatile area, and yet for some odd reason we decided to pull our UAV, air support and everything out of the area under different, under a Democratic president. There wasn't call for the military to overthrow him then. So this is ridiculous. And how many like top leading officials do we have that actually endorsed Trump? Admirals and that sort of thing. I mean, the number was very high. So
The sheer stupidity of that statement is absolutely overwhelming. She
yes,
and again, just like Whoopi, stupid to the core. No clue whatsoever as to what she's talking about. Let's not give her another second other than just to say Sarah Silverman is a dumb butt dipwing.
yes, I second that. She's just out of her mind.
And to that end, there's an article. Let's see who is posting. Oh, the Courier Journal, and I'll put a link down below to this article. A Navy convoy in Louisville flew a Trump flag off of one of the convoy trucks. Another example of why Sarah Silverman has no clue what she's talking about. The military, and this is just one example. I understand there's a lot of military. This is just one example where the military supports Trump. They're not going to. I mean, here's a convoy, and they flew a Trump flag. They're happy
Right.
about it.
And it's funny to think about that because here she is saying something about that, and yet we know that nobody ever flew the Obama, New World Order logo while they were on their convoy, right? And even maybe it flew behind something, was seen, some unit level because it was ordered to be there while he took his lapel flag off. But
That is so true. That is so true. I can't remember one instance in 8 years where anybody flew an Obama flag. Any military personnel flew an Obama flag.
no, they would have gotten blanket partied or slapped around, I think, for that idiocy. So thank God.
Okay, enough of the stupid people. I mean, we have more stupid people to talk about, but enough of the stupid celebrities. On to this Budweiser commercial. So we're talking about immigration. We're talking about, immigrants coming to the country. All Trump's trying to do is shut down the border so we can vet who's coming. I was watching a town hall meeting this week with Nancy Pelosi where a gentleman from Texas was grilling her on or sharing his story. He owns 1,000 acres on the border and all the drugs and coyotes. And here's the thing. The people that want to come to this country because they actually want a better life, most of the time, not all, but most of the time, they're being taken advantage of by these coyotes who not only charge them an arm and a leg, and most of the women are raped, sexually assaulted. A lot of people are left behind because they can't keep up given the weather or the journey they're walking, not to mention all the drugs coming across. And one of the things that I want to point out is that based on Nancy Pelosi's response, and before I get to her response, another woman stood up and shared her story of how an illegal immigrant killed her son. And we talked last week about the fact that the Trump administration is going to start putting out crime statistics for sanctuary cities. And here's what we need to push. Here's the meme we need to create. Anyone who supports sanctuary cities supports, condones, what's another word I'm looking for? They agree with the murder of American citizens because they're putting the rights and the welfare of illegal immigrants, people who are not citizens of our country, above Americans. Now, I wanted to say something about, we were talking just a second ago about immigration and about, I said, look, it is not the right of anybody to come to America. That's what's so crazy about these judges that are, halting Trump's 90-day moratorium, by the way, not a ban. It's not their right. Now, I agree that everybody has the right to be treated humanely. If we catch illegals in the country, they should be treated humanely and they should be removed from the country and they should come through the process legally. So I want to point that out. I'm not saying that we should mistreat other human beings. And Nancy Pelosi.
So you have that a little different than the left. They are calling for that now. They are calling for violence being okay. So
yes, and we'll get to that in a second. That's on the list to talk about, and you're absolutely correct. And Rahm Emanuel, the mayor of New York City, I forget his name, de Blasio is his name. The mayor of Los Angeles, the mayor of San Francisco, the mayor of most every other major city are calling for, helping protect these illegal immigrants. So the rights of these illegals supersedes the rights of Americans, which is completely wrong. And I say that these leaders, they condone and support the murder of American citizens. If you're not willing to vet these illegals, if you're not willing to say you need to come to this country legally, the lady, and again, her name escapes me, I'll put it in the link below, that the illegal killed in San Francisco on the pier, just shot her in the back. He had been deported 5 times previously. And I believe the article says he had run-ins with the law. So my point to all this is we need to start promoting the social meme that these people are supporting and condoning the murder of American citizens, violence against American citizens.
Right, and anybody that's in this kind of position of power to be doing this sort of thing needs to be ousted. They don't deserve that seat, whatever seat that may be, any of them, because that's what anyone that's sworn any oath of office or anything is. Bottom line is to protect the citizens. So how can you put more onus on the rights of these other people? I mean, you don't even know who they are, and so many of them they're screaming about what a terrible thing it is we're doing, and it's we're based on, like you said, we were built on immigration, right? Already built. But these people still want to come in here, and many of them want to do us harm. They don't want to assimilate. And I don't remember the name of the gentleman who had said that, but I mean that makes sense to me. That immigration without assimilation is invasion, and that's what they're pushing for: invasion of our sovereign territory. It's ridiculous.
And that was Governor Bobby Jindal that said
Bobby
that.
Jindal, right. Okay.
And so that leads us to, well, I have a couple of thoughts on that. First of all, you're absolutely right. These people need to be removed from power. This is treason. Under the Constitution, what these people are doing by putting illegals first, and this judge saying that, Trump's ban, again, it's not a ban, it's a moratorium, is
Right.
illegal, is a violation of the Constitution. I reread through the Constitution. It's not in there, folks. It is not your right as a foreigner to come to America. And it's a design. These people come in, they get free welfare, they vote Democrat. So it's all a plan. It's all a plan. Now, to that end, so the next thing I want to kind of transition into, because there's this huge fight going on over sanctuary cities, over protecting these illegals, as you'll notice, it's missing up here on my left side. Well, that's because they're right here. Liberty and freedom. And they're going to stay there. I always carry them because the next thing I want to talk about is Democratic Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut is suggesting, and again, I guess our overwhelming theme for today is stupid people. He is suggesting two things. One, he's suggesting that we should have no vetting of immigrants. We should have a wide open immigration policy with absolutely no vetting. Anybody should be able to come here at any time. And along with that policy, he is calling for massive gun control. Well, how stupid is that? You want to just let anybody into the country, but you don't want to let citizens like us protect ourselves? Buddy, you can stick it where the sun don't shine.
No, this guy, I mean, all the others, Sarah Silverman, Whoopi Goldberg, they're ridiculously stupid. But this guy is he takes it to the nth degree. I mean, you got to be kidding me. Because, and the hypocrisy is probably very relevant. Would he let people into his neighborhood? I mean, you don't even know. These people wish us harm. I mean, judge a person by their character, not whether or not they're going to have a gun. I mean, I don't even know what to say about that. That's just so ridiculous. And how is it working for the crime rate in these areas like New York and everybody that has some of the most strict gun laws? They have the highest crime rates. So it's not working. Again, it's emotional rhetoric over fact.
And gun control is never about guns. It's always about control.
Right.
So I challenge Senator Murphy. You want immigration without any vetting? How many are you putting up in your house to live with your family? I challenge you to take in two Syrian refugees, which, by the way, as I continue to say, these Syrian refugees that Obozo was bringing in, they are not mom, dad, and the kids that want a better life. These are young, radical men, Islamic men. They're radicalized. So why don't you bring two of those radical Islamic men into your house and see how well that works out for you and your family, because you want them here.
Oh, well, come on, Lee. They won't be dangerous when they don't have a gun. Because just because these guns aren't, just because they're going to have this law, it's like they're not going to be able to get a gun. They're not out on the black market. They never get stolen. There's only a couple out there. It's just so ridiculous. It just blows the mind.
It does blow the mind. And I can imagine that the chaos that would ensue should he let a couple of these Syrian refugees stay with him would be catastrophic to him and his family. Moving on,
they wouldn't be around anymore.
That's correct. Or these radical Islamics would do some things to his family that he would probably not be happy about.
Right.
Shifting into this same theme, we have a Black Lives Matter. And by the way, I'd like to remind the audience that in this past year, Obozo, when he was still in office, met with the leader of Black Lives Matter. So I know it's not the same person we're about to talk about, but a member of Black Lives Matter up in Washington State is calling for, he said, the killing of the White House, which doesn't make a lot of sense, although I would say that is a threat against Trump. If Trump is the president, he stays in the White House. So why hasn't this guy been arrested for that? He's calling for the killing of white people. Right on TV, there's video. I will roll that video in right now.
And we need to start killing people. First off, we need to start killing the White House. The White House must die.
So we see this guy calling for the killing of white people. So, Ty, I don't know about you, but here's what I'm going to say. Hey, buddy, I got liberty and freedom right here. Come and get me. You want to try to kill me? I'm going to defend myself. I am not calling for violence. I am not saying I am going to go out and do anything. You want to kill me? You better come and get me, and you better know I'm going to defend myself and my family. You jackwing. I mean, this guy is nuts. He's calling for reparations, that white people should give up everything they have to give to black people. You know what? Slavery was horrible. I get that. You were never a slave. We're 150 some years removed, 125 years removed from that point. Get over it, get a job, become a productive member of society. I don't care whether you're black, white, green, yellow, brown, purple, pink. I don't care. Be a productive member of society. You want to try to kill me? I'm going to defend myself.
Yeah, was this the person that had also been claimed as being a preschool teacher or something to that effect? Or am I thinking about someone else?
Yes.
Okay. So this person, in my opinion, was high. I mean, who's going to come off saying that? I mean, talking about killing the White House is, I mean, that's one threat you could take against Trump himself. But then again, it's also a blanket statement, I think, of calling for whites to be killed, just on the basis of the color of their skin, not in their belief or anything. And what was the worst part about slavery and everything was a basis of the color of their skin being judged. And then he can take it, 180 degrees and then judge people and call for just people of white color to be killed. That's, I mean, okay, he must be high.
The sheer stupidity of this and saying that. Now, could you imagine if you or I were out saying that kind of stuff? We would be in jail right now. We would be on trial for hate speech, for hate crime. But this guy, because he's part of the cult left, right? Or the video comes out backwards, the cult left, thinks that it's okay to say this. And to that end, moving into the next idiotic person, today's theme is stupid people.
Right.
Former vice presidential candidate Kane, Hillary's vice presidential pick,
right,
is calling for people to fight in the streets against Trump. He's calling for violence. This is absolutely insane. But here's the good news, Ty. I have good news for all of us that believe in liberty and freedom. These left-wing nutbags are not armed. They're not armed. We are. And you know what? Even if they did get armed, they have no training. They would probably shoot themselves like the guy from the movie World War Z that goes running into the back of the plane with the Glock in his hand, trips because he had and kills himself because he has the finger on the trigger. They're not trained. They don't have a clue. They would probably end up shooting themselves anyway. We are heavily armed, Bertha, and we are trained.
Yeah, good luck. I mean, but I mean that's just like again. I mean, how can you be? I mean, another person that needs to be, stripped of whatever his pedestal is, and the failed, politician sort of here because he's not our, um, our whatever. Hillary didn't win. He's not in office. He's not. So absolutely unbelievable for him to be saying that we need to start violence. And then what did he say? He said we needed to start. He says first it had to be like through legislation, through filibuster, through that sort of thing in order to help his cause. And then it goes, oh, well, then we're going to go. And it just keeps on escalating right to, yeah, we need to actually take it to the streets and full on, violence. He's calling for anarchy. Why? He'll probably get richer because of this president.
And they are insane. The cultish left is tolerant as long as you agree with their opinion. If you don't agree with their opinion, then violence is okay. We have another article, some journalist, and I don't have his name right in front of me, some left-wing journalist is calling for violence to stop Trump, and that's okay. It should be tolerated. I'll put a link to the article down below.
So the same people don't want violence against the people coming in, and they think that people coming in our borders freely won't cause or stir up any kind of violence, and they're calling us the violent. They're calling the right wing, people that we're all the terrible conspiracy theorists and everybody, and yet they're the ones wanting to incite violence. It's completely backwards, but it goes right to what I think it was in another clip. I'm not sure if it's readily available, but there's one of Hillary Clinton talking about why would you ever want to be cooped up in an area of people that don't have our opinions, and everybody else, every other adult should have a place to go. They should be put in camps.
Oh, fun camps.
Yeah, because she cannot deal with it, and that's what's so funny about it. It was not funny; it's just illogical. Again, it's back on emotion and everything else that they base things on, and they call us the intolerant. The right wings, people like believe in freedom and everything. We're intolerant of them, and yet if you don't believe like they do, then you should be hurt, or as the one guy said, killed.
It's the pot. Exactly. It's the pot calling the kettle black. So to all of you left-wing idiots out there that think that you're and that's something else I want to talk about. I'll see if I can find some clips to roll in here of Trump supporters being attacked violently. Now, again, I want to make it very clear. I am not calling for violence. What I am calling for is if you supported Trump, get armed, get trained, and defend yourself. You have a right to defend yourself, your life, your person, your family. And these people want to do you harm. We should not go looking for it, and we should defend ourselves if these people come and try to harm us. And I'm telling every Trump supporter, don't go out by yourself, go out in a group and be armed. And be openly armed. Let these people know. Good fences made good neighbors. Well, you know what? Al Capone said you can get a lot farther with a kind word and a gun than you can with just a kind word. And you know what? That is unbelievably true. Al Capone was a sociopath. He was a criminal. That doesn't make it any less true. And these people think that they're going to come after me and my family. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. And that's these other And that's what a lot of Trump supporters don't understand. You cannot go out to these rallies and these marches by these left-wing cultists and have a rational conversation with them. There is no rational conversation. There is no talking to them. The left simply wants to have total control, and they don't care about conversation, dialogue, or opinions. They simply want to take their proverbial boot and put it on your neck and keep you under control. And as long as I have liberty and freedom, that's not going to happen. So
I think it goes back to it, right? All these different people getting on there and crying. That's what it boils down to. I say liberalism is a mental disorder. I think you've said that, and maybe I copied it from you, and there's other people that have said it, but it's just ridiculous because that's all they've got left. They don't have like I said, they don't have an argument to stand on. They don't have the facts, and they can't even present the facts. When you had someone get up there trying to present the facts on global warming, when old what's his name was on a high horse. Why am I forgetting the name?
Yeah, Gore, Al Gore.
Al Gore, of course. But hey, you know what? That's good that I forget his name. And that's Sarah Slackman. But I'm going to forget her and that Whoopi chick, whatever. Yeah, they don't deserve it. But yeah, for them to sit there and try to present facts, eventually some of the facts about global warming or whatever are completely gone the other way. So then they go to an emotional stance. It's always the polar bears. It's always, that's what it always boils down to. It's always got to be the emotional stance. And yet they're the absolute intolerant. That's just...
Ty, you couldn't be more correct. By the way, I believe it was Michael Savage who started the whole meme. Michael Savage, the radio host, he's also authored the book, Liberalism is a Disease, a mental disorder. Right. I'll put a link to his book, the exact title, but it's Liberalism is a Mental Disorder. It's a disease is what it is. Because there's
I like that Michael Savage.
Yeah, Michael Savage, great radio host, telling it like it is, exactly. These people, they're cult members. They've been brainwashed, and there is no rational conversation with them. There is no talking in any factual way. We know the facts. We know that where there are more law-abiding gun owners, there's less gun crime. Or less crime overall. The crime rate drops. The crime rate drops significantly. We know that as a fact. And they don't want to hear fact because they want to control us. They want to put us under their proverbial boot, put their boot on our neck and keep us under control.
Right. Now, see, you won't catch me arguing with someone that's set in their ways, a liberal. I might have someone, that I think can still process information and make a decision that has actually bought into some of this, brainwashing in our media. And if I think they have a chance of actually listening, fine, I might try it. But for the most part, I don't want to be looked at by people walking around thinking, oh, there's two idiots arguing about something, because you can't argue with they're not rational. So I just don't even try anymore. But I do remember trying to have, a legitimate conversation a long time ago, because I was upset about having another 4 years of Obozo. And, my cousin and different people are just telling me, oh, what do you mean? Everything's going to be so much better now. His policies are so much better for him. And it was all just emotion. And I'm just like, and I presented facts to him and everything. And all he got was more angry, all the way to the point that he wanted to fight. And it's just like, okay, I guess. And now it starts to make sense, right? If everything is based on this one belief, and yet they can't make an argument, they can't make it stick, then they go to crying or screaming bloody murder. They're like adolescents. That's what it boils down to. And maybe the fact that they don't have, well, and we do, that gives us a little bit of a voice.
It's truly crazy how insane these people are. That's a little redundant. They are absolutely out of their minds. Yes. There's no rational thought. It's their way or we're going to throw that tantrum. We're going to create violence. We're going to call for violence if we don't get our way. And the funny thing is that we, the people that love liberty and freedom, are not trying to put our proverbial boot on their neck. We're simply saying, leave us alone. We don't want your authoritarianism. We don't want your beliefs. You're happy to keep them. You're happy to live by them for yourself. We don't want them. But because we don't want that, they're calling for violence against us. And so
Right.
just like that.
It's like a kid playing chess or the less developed game of checkers or something. You know, when something's stacked against them, they're reading the lines. You know, they're reading the game. They know it. What do? You just trash the whole thing, and that's their mentality. You tip the board. So for them, you know, it's out of their hands. They can't dissuade you this way. You're too smart for the emotional aspect of it to actually sway you to their belief, because you know the facts. And as a rational human being, you can change your mind once presented with other facts. I don't think they can. So when the emotion can't sway them, then it needs to be just chaos. You destroy everything you can. You ruin it for everybody else as fast as you can. You couldn't have it your way, then nobody has it anyway. And that's just not rational.
That is such a great example. That is such a great example. They're little children that when they know they're going to lose the game, they tip the board up. They just, throw all the pieces up because they know they can't win.
And as another part of the example of not being a grown-up, it's I don't want to grow up and I don't want to handle situations that are uncomfortable, ever. When, as a child, you can't do something or you can't figure something out, you can throw a fit, or you go and get mom and dad, or you go get some sort of authority figure. You always move to that person of authority for your problem. And just because it's uncomfortable to take care of yourself, maybe. So somebody's safety, as a liberal, that's somebody else's job, somebody else's problem. And I don't want to have to worry about it. I live in a safe neighborhood. Well, you might live in a safe neighborhood until it's not. Until some escaped convict comes through your neighborhood, right? But you can go ahead and delude yourself to that point. Oh, I live in a safe neighborhood. Don't need a gun. Don't need to protect myself. Well, the other thing is the cops are thinking the same thing. That's a safe neighborhood. I don't need to patrol a beat, around that neighborhood. So again, it just boils down to it's somebody else's problem. So the officer is going to be there to protect me. I don't want to handle it myself.
Ty, you have just brought up an excellent point, and I want to make this observation based on what you said about, I have a safe neighborhood. How many citizens in Boston thought, I live in a safe area? What's going on? The Boston bombing happened, and I'm not even going to get into all of that. And all of a sudden, you have SWAT officers with big, semi-military vehicles, these big armored vehicles rolling through the streets, going house to house, pointing their automatic weapons at citizens who probably said, what is going on? I live in a safe neighborhood. So it can happen.
Exactly.
It can happen anywhere. It can happen anywhere.
Especially if we're going to just let people in with no vetting process whatsoever. I mean, what are you going to do then? You have no idea where these people are going, what neighborhoods they're traveling to, or anything. And again, it's in movies, it's anywhere else. In reality, I can't think of an exact example, but I mean, when you have someone that believes that way, they're all anti-gun. Then you put them in a situation where they're, took a wrong turn, their car broke down in a bad neighborhood, and what do? They look over to their the next person in line, like, do you have a knife or a gun? No. I mean, you told me we could never own a gun. It's always based on that. And then, but how would you don't want to feel uncomfortable? Well, don't feel uncomfortable. Get trained and get armed. And then arm your brain, make it sharper for the whole thing and to be able to react to a situation. Not I'm not okay with just living in ignorance, but I think they are. But don't push it on me.
Yes, don't push it on you. Don't push it on me. Don't push it on the rest of us that love liberty and freedom. And somebody sent me a great little saying. You might not believe that we should own guns. You might not believe in God. But when the time comes and you have a problem, who are you going to call? You're going to call a guy with a gun, the police, and you're going to pray they get there in time.
Right.
I thought that was
perfect. No, it fits exactly right.
And that's why we promote get educated, get trained, get armed. You should always have training and you should be armed. The police are minutes away when seconds count. And as we're seeing in a lot of these, it happened up in Berkeley with this whole protest over Milo Stenopoulos or whatever his name is, who, by the way, is gay and liberal as they come, but he believes in liberty and freedom. So they're protesting him. And up in that protest up in Berkeley, the cops just stood down. They let the rioters, ironically, guess what the rioters did? They destroyed a Starbucks. Guess who was an outspoken outspoken against Trump and his immigration ban? The CEO of Starbucks. And yet these rioters burned down, busted up the windows, just trashed one of his stores. Hey, he can have them. He can have them. And to that end, speaking of the Starbucks CEO, he said in this whole, again, the ban, right? I mean, the propaganda media is calling it a ban, even though it's just a 90-day moratorium on countries that are extreme. By the way, Saudi Arabia was not one of those countries. United Arab Emirates was not one of those countries. What's the little country that the reason we went into Iraq the first time? What's that little Arab country right there? The oil. Back in the 90s.
Kuwait. Yeah.
Kuwait. Thank you. Kuwait. I couldn't think of it. Kuwait wasn't on that list. There's 43 Muslim countries in the world that all but 7 of them were not on that list. And this is not a ban. It's just a 90-day moratorium. And so, but yet the police are standing down and letting these people riot and burn down anything they want. It's total insanity. Well, it has been a crazy week. I am anticipating that the weeks are going to get crazier as we move forward.
Oh, yeah, I think so. Yeah.
We are going to have more and more to talk about. There is no limit to the stupidity in Hollywood. So I am sure we will see more stupid, idiotic actors and actresses coming out and saying stupid things that have no sense or base of reality, just like Tupperware, Sarah Tupperware, and Whoopi Cushion. I'm sure that
that would be good. That's her new name from now on. Oh, Whoopi Cushion. Just a bag of flatulent air. That's all she is.
That is so true. A bag of flatulent air. That is all that comes out of that woman's mouth. You're right. That is her new name, Whoopi Cushion, because that's all that's coming out is just a bag of flatulent air. It is just ridiculous. It is just ridiculous. You are correct. Anything else you want to talk about today, Ty?
Oh boy, what was it? There was oh man. Now my notes kind of turned around. Well, the only thing that I wanted to bring up on that the beer commercial on it was just here we have them showing immigration and immigrants and someone that was intolerant of them. Obviously, they chose a big white guy to be the guy that gives one of Anheuser or Busch or whatever a jab, tells him to go away, and he's painted as the guy that's intolerant and whatever. And yet I liked the commercial because it really did show the truth about that. I mean, someone who came over who didn't have the freedoms to do what they wanted to do, to start up the business where they wanted, and yet they had vision. And they needed to come to America in its, early days or whatever to do that. And then what did they do? They didn't give up. I mean, there's a lot of other people through history that have done that. I mean, Samuel Colt, didn't really have anything and then builds it up, failed at business several times before becoming successful. Well, what kind of success story is that? but it wasn't by bringing their beliefs over specifically and pushing it on us. It was about taking American values and then bringing part of their history and everything in development and making beer or whatever and doing that. The problem is the release date, everything coinciding with the rhetoric of Trump banning this and everything that's going on and all the immigration rhetoric. For them to bring that out, I think it gives the left sort of one of these, look at this commercial, even Budweiser, you're an immigrant too, kind of a mentality. And it was kind of a bad timing, I think.
It's all propaganda.
Right.
It's all propaganda. And here's how I'd like to close things out. If anybody believes that the mass importation of Islamic immigrants is simply to help them out, is delusional. It is designed to transform America into an Islamic state. Read the Quran. The Quran specifically says that a Muslim is to try to convert non-believers. And if non-believers do not convert, then it is perfectly okay under Islamic law, under the Quran, for them to kill you. These are not mom, dad, and a couple of kids that want to come to America and just live a better life. These are young, radical men who want to implement Sharia law, and they want to take over the country. That is what is going on. Now, am I saying that all Muslims in America are violent and want to take over? No. I'm going to suspect that probably most Muslims are like most Amish. They're Muslim because that's how they were raised. I would dare to bet that if you took 100 Muslims, probably most of them haven't read the Quran. Now, I don't know if women are even allowed to read in Islam or under Sharia law, but if you took 100 Muslim men, I bet you most of them have never read the Quran. So they probably don't even know, and that's fine. All I'm saying is that all of these people that they're importing into our country are not mom, dad, and the kids that want a better life and just want to be left alone. And I'm so glad you keep bringing up this quote. I think we should make it a regular thing on the show. Immigration without assimilation is invasion. And that's
right.
And that's the thing. They want us to conform to Sharia law and to what they believe instead of coming to America and going, okay, well, America is about liberty and freedom. And so we'll just live our lives and leave everybody else alone. Go ahead.
As we were talking about this, I mean, again, it's another case that I almost don't want to mention it because it's kind of on the, it's all right on the surface there. But when you can't get your way, we talked about the liberal mentality. It's their way or the highway, but they don't know how to deal with stuff rationally or to fight or anything. So who do they want to come in here and fight their battle? The ends justify the means for them. So the people that are in positions of power who are calling for this sort of thing and inciting violence and saying that that's what we need to do is take it to the street. They don't have that. It probably looks like one of Hillary's, campaign venues. There's not that many people there. They don't have the stomach for it, right? So to call in and bring in radical Muslims to do their dirty work is I think that's part of their agenda. It's part of their plan. What they don't know, just like anybody who was trying to push for like the better treatment of prisoners in Guantanamo, if they were in there with them, you'd have your head sliced off. You'd be dead. Same sort of thing. That's some of the push onto why they want them here. They're the ones who'll take to the street and take us out.
Excellent point.
Or at least try.
They'll try. They will not succeed. That is correct. The good news is that we have a president that's willing to call Islamic terrorism what it is, which is Islamic terrorism. Terrorism by Islamics who want to kill us. That was the knife-wielding attacker up in Minnesota. He was screaming Allah Akbar. Well, no, I'm sorry, that's not correct. He was not screaming Allah Akbar. The guy up in Minnesota that started attacking people with a knife, he was asking people as they came into the mall, "Are you a Muslim?" And when they said no, he was attacking them. That is an extreme example, but that is the example of the kind of people that we are importing into this country and that needs to stop.
Absolutely.
Excellent show, Ty. Great. Thank you so much for your input. Thank you very much to our audience for watching. The Freedom and Liberty Show is brought to you by my website, TwoGunMojo.com. Link is down below. Ty, our gunsmith, you need any gunsmithing, go to our website, TwoGunMojo.com. Click on the Contact TwoGunMojo. Enter in your information. Ty will get back to you. Make sure you include contact information for any gunsmithing. As soon as Ty is going to be working on some items for me. As soon as those are done, I'll display them here on the show, give you an example of the kind of work that Ty does. All right, until next Sunday. I'm sorry, what?
So looking forward to it.
Excellent, excellent. All right, thank you so much, Ty. Until next Sunday.
Have a good one.